The Sumerian civilization not only established the first cities in human history, but also created the first conscious and documented economic system. Many of the concepts that come to mind today when we think of economics, such as money, trade, debt, interest, wages, accounting, contracts, risk, and even economic crises, have their roots in the Sumerian world. For this reason, understanding the Sumerians does not merely mean becoming familiar with an ancient civilization. It also means grasping how the modern economic mindset came into being. The Sumerian economy represents a major intellectual transformation in human history, one in which economic relations were for the first time organized within a systematic, recorded, and institutional framework. The Sumerians lived in the southern part of Mesopotamia, on the fertile alluvial plains between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This geography was highly suitable for agriculture, yet it was seriously lacking in essential raw materials such as stone, timber, and metals. This geographical paradox formed the fundamental dynamic of the Sumerian economic system. Agricultural production generated a significant surplus, but this surplus alone was not sufficient. Very early on, the Sumerians realized that economic power did not arise solely from production, but from the ability to exchange what was produced in an effective and organized manner. As a result, trade became not a choice but a necessity, and the Sumerian economy developed as an outward-oriented and organized system, rather than a closed, self-sufficient one. Agriculture lay at the heart of the Sumerian economy, and barley stood at the center of this system. Barley was not merely a staple food, it was also an economic instrument used to pay wages, calculate debts, and measure commercial value. Tablets, found in temple and palace archives, record in detail the names of workers, the duration of their labor, and the quantities of barley they received, while the daily labor of an unskilled worker was measured by a fixed barley ration. Specialized professionals received higher shares. This clearly demonstrates that labor was transformed into a measurable value, and that a regular wage economy emerged at a very early stage. The institutional backbone of the Sumerian economy consisted of temples and palaces. These structures were not only religious or political centers, but also large economic institutions where production, storage, distribution, and trade were managed. Agricultural products were collected in temple storehouses, labor was organized from these centers, and surplus goods were sent to other regions through trade. Decisions regarding who would work, how much product would be received, and which goods would be exchanged were all determined through written records. This centralized planning approach effectively turned Sumerian temples into the first economic administrative centers in history. Trade was an indispensable part of Sumerian life and operated on two main levels. Local trade took place in village and city markets and was based on the regular exchange of goods calculated in barley or silver equivalents. This system was not a chaotic barter economy as often assumed. Approximate values of goods were widely known and calculated using standardized measures. Long-distance trade, on the other hand, represented one of the most advanced and impressive aspects of the Sumerian economy. The Sumerians established extensive trade networks, importing tin from Anatolia, precious stones from Iran, timber from the Levant, and copper from the Persian Gulf. Tin was especially vital for bronze production, which increased the strategic importance of trade. At the center of these commercial activities stood the merchant class known as Damgar. Merchants usually traded on behalf of temples or palaces and traveled to distant regions with the capital and goods entrusted to them. These journeys involved considerable risks. Goods could be lost, caravans attacked, or ships sunk. Nevertheless, trade was not an individual adventure. but an organized economic activity conducted through detailed contracts and records. What the merchant carried, what was brought back, and the resulting profit or loss were carefully recorded on tablets. In this way, the concepts of risk, investment, and return became conscious elements of economic thought for the first time. The concept of money in Sumer did not take the form of coinage in the modern sense. However, silver was used as an abstract measure of value and a unit of account. Expressed through weight units such as the shekel, mina, and talent, silver often did not physically change hands. Nonetheless, debts, wages, and commercial values were recorded in silver terms. This indicates that a money was understood, not merely as a tangible object, but as a mental measure regulating economic relations. The Sumerians were among the first societies to conceptualize money as a system of calculation and comparison. Debt and interest formed the core of the Sumerian economy. Individuals could borrow barley or silver and formally accept the terms and repayment dates in writing. Interest rates were fixed, and agricultural debts were typically aligned with the harvest cycle. However, events such as droughts, wars, or disruptions to trade routes could trigger economic crises. Those unable to repay their debts might be forced to work for the temple, or even place family members into service as repayment. When such situations led to social unrest, some Sumerian kings issued decrees canceling or postponing debts. These measures are regarded as the earliest examples of economic reforms and state intervention in history. Women played a far more active role in the Sumerian economy than is often assumed. Tablets indicate that women worked in weaving workshops, beer production, agriculture, and even trade. Female workers received regular wages, and some rose to managerial positions within the temple economy. Records also show that women possessed property rights, owning land and commercial goods. This demonstrates that the Sumerian economic system did not operate exclusively through men, but recognized women's labor and property as well. Writing formed the foundation of this entire economic order. Cuneiform script was developed not initially for literary or religious texts, but for economic record-keeping. Debt contracts, payroll lists, trade agreements, and inventory records were secured through writing. Scribes, who were skilled in both writing and calculation, ensured the continuity of the Sumerian economy and effectively became the world's first accountants. In conclusion, the Sumerians understood the economy not merely as a means of meeting daily needs, but as a fundamental structure shaping social order. Concepts such as money, trade, debt, interest, wages, state intervention, and economic crises all emerged for the first time within a conscious and written system in the Sumerian world. For this reason, the Sumerian economy was not a primitive system left behind in the past, but the invisible foundation of modern economic thought. Many of the economic concepts we use today trace their origins to this great intellectual revolution that took place 5,000 years ago between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers.